This is The Weekly Set, the official podcast of TheTotalScreen.com. Episode 171, recorded August 31st, 2018. Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Weekly Set, the official podcast of TheTotalScreen.com. I'm your host. My name is Tyson, and joining me today, as always, is my partner in crime here at The Total Screen, William Rohrig.
Hello.
So, today we are going to be talking about the Fall American TV preview. So, we have a full preview up on our site. I say full, but it's still curated. It's quite a bit toned down, or cut down, into stuff that kind of is more of interest to our demographic, I guess. Still not perfect, but you know, if you check that out on the site, you can kind of see a bunch of trailers and information about shows and when they're coming out. For the podcast, there's no way we can talk about all of that in any, like, we'd literally just have to like go through the titles and just go, yep, that's a show. Next up is this. That's a show as well.
That's a show.
That would be the podcast. That would be our discussion. So in order to actually have some discussion, we decided we're going to narrow it down to 10. And we've done this, if you've been following the podcast for a while, you know, we usually do it about 10. When we first started, we tried to do the whole thing, and we'd have like a 3-hour podcast, and it wasn't very entertaining or interesting at all, because like I said, we'd basically be like, this is a show too. But we picked out 10 shows that we think are interesting, for better or worse. You can be your judge of that as you listen to us talk about them. But the shows that are new and returning this fall season that we thought were kind of interesting, worth talking about. Let's kick things off. September 4th, the first one on our list, Mayans MC hits FX. So Mayans MC is a spin-off of Sons of Anarchy. Did you watch Sons of Anarchy, Will?
Nope.
So Sons of Anarchy was a really popular show on FX. Like, even if you haven't watched it, you know what it is, right?
Yeah, I know what it is. It's about bikers and stuff, and just nothing that interested me personally, so I was like...
Bikers, crime, machismo, Southern rock.
all things that I'm like, and no, I'm good.
So Mayans MC is kind of like a spin-off of that. It's another show about motorcycle, like a motorcycle club. It's just, you know, Sons of Anarchy was one motorcycle club, and Mayans is a different.
From the trailer, like, it looks like this is like a Mexican like motorcycle club.
Yeah, so, it's a group that showed up in Sons of Anarchy.
So
except that the characters we're seeing here are new because, like, they're about different charters of this club. It's kind of like Hell's Angels will have like a New York charter and a Los Angeles charter and other.
Sure.
Well, like Sons of Anarchy would have different charters, and so does Mayans. And so Sons of Anarchy took place in Northern California, and they'd have run-ins frequently with the Mayans who are in Oakland. So they're both in Northern California. Mayans MC takes place like right on the California-Mexico border. So like right, like below San Diego, like right at the very, very border there. And that's the charter that this series follows. So the characters are mostly new characters, but you might see some other characters from Sons of Anarchy pop up throughout the series. This show's being run by Kurt Sutter, who run Sons of Anarchy, but it's also being run by Elgin James, who wrote the movie Lowriders. And I think Kurt Sutter just decided when he was going to do a series based on this that he couldn't do it by himself if he was going to do something about the Mayans, because he needed somebody that was kind of more culturally connected to that life, you know? And so he brought in another writer who is involved in this as well, and they're going to be running this together. And yeah, so interesting cast on this. Most notably, Felipe Reyes, he's the main character's father, is being played by Edward James Olmos.
I saw that. Yep.
It's a big name actor. Battlestar Galactica is probably of the genre shows, the thing that he'd be most notable for. But of course, I mean, his career goes way back to, you know, Stand and Deliver and, you know, all these movies from the 80s and stuff. So it's like, you know, pretty notable actor there.
Sure.
I'm actually, I'm looking forward to it a little bit. Sons of Anarchy went a little bit off the rails. It kind of jumped the shark a bit a few times. So I'm hoping Mayans is able to stay a little bit more grounded than Sons of Anarchy was able to. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if it's different or if it's just more of the same.
Right. If it's just a continuation of Sons of Anarchy instead of its own thing.
Which some people would be perfectly happy with, you know?
Right. Yeah.
That show had a pretty big fan base, and there really isn't anything else like Sons of Anarchy on TV. So now there is.
Now there is.
Yeah. So next up on September 7th, Iron Fist Season 2 hits Netflix.
Boy, this has like a lot to prove.
Yeah.
This is like, okay, this was the worst of the Marvel Netflix shows. With a character who was bland, didn't have the charisma out the gate of like any of the other three big Netflix Marvel heroes. You know, you could say you can easily say with Daredevil, with Jessica Jones, with Cage, that even if the story sucked, even if what was going on sucked, you still cared about the characters because they were, so in a way, they were charming and relatable. And you cared. Danny Rand didn't have that connection, right? He just he was just annoying. So it's like, and the show sucked. So it was like a double whammy. So
yeah, I think I blame almost all of that entirely on the showrunner Scott Buck.
I think so too.
We've routinely roasted on this podcast.
Well deserved, by the way. It's like,
yes, he's the Uwe Ball of TV.
He's a Uwe Ball of TV. Like there's bad TV, but I've never been able to like connect like a bad show consistently to like a single showrunner like this before. This is like, wow.
So season 2's got a new showrunner, mercifully has a new showrunner. Not necessarily a huge step up, but
no, it's not like
definitely an improvement over.
Not like they got Brian Fuller, like
yeah. It's not a huge get. It's who's running this show is a man named Raven Metzner. He's probably most known for writing the Elektra movie, which isn't a great sign. At the very least, it shows some familiarity with some of these characters, but still not a great sign. But he also worked as a writer on Heroes Reborn, also not a great sign. But he wasn't the showrunner for Heroes Reborn, so
this doesn't get any better.
He also wrote on Sleepy Hollow and Fallen Skies, which were both significantly better than Heroes Reborn.
Yes.
And then he was a showrunner on 6 Degrees and Clue. I never watched the Clue series. 6 Degrees I was kind of just vaguely aware of, so I can't say a lot about this guy and what.
I don't remember what the hell 6 Degrees was, so like I can comment on that. But
it was like a big ensemble piece, and it was about people like and how they'd be connected through these different like incidents in their lives.
Sure. But anyway, so the point is, this has the potential to be better than last season. They got a new choreographer. The fighting that they showed in the trailers looks better than the fighting from last season. Like
still not necessarily knocking my socks off, but
yeah, it's not great. It wasn't like holy shit. Like first time like we saw like a fight in Daredevil. It's not at that level.
It's not like the hallway fight in episode
Daredevil
2 of Daredevil. Yeah, it's
right. You said hallway, yeah, it's not holy shit. But
it's an improvement. You can see already.
Improvement. The plot is.
I was going to say the fight coordinator is Clayton Barber, who had just finished. He was the fight coordinator on Black Panther.
The plot seems to be a little hokey. He's fighting like his evil clone or some shit. It's like.
He's fighting Davos. Who is It's like his brother at arms from Kunlun.
Right. He has the same powers, and he's the bad guy. Like this has become a Marvel trope now.
Yeah. He apparently is going to steal that power from Danny.
Right.
Because he's taking on the mantle of the Steel Serpent, which is a character in the comics. Mm-hmm. He's going to be the primary antagonist. He's upset that Danny Rand isn't properly representing Kunlun one or properly defending it. And it's like his friend from growing up, but now they've had this falling out.
Yeah.
Davos doesn't believe in him anymore. And it's kind of like, it reminds me almost more of like, at the end of Doctor Strange, when his one friend is like, there's too many magicians in the world, and kind of goes like the complete opposite route and starts working against them.
Right.
It's kind of like that. Like, that's kind of, I think, what their relationship's like. It's like they were friends, and then, the one decides that, the protagonist isn't doing the right thing and takes it upon himself to do like do anything to get the job done properly role kind of thing.
But, I'm going to be optimistic and say that this is going to be at least decent. Like,
yeah.
This is probably not going to be like anything amazing, but it's definitely already looking better than the first season. So I might actually want to call this.
As a character too. We saw him in Luke Cage. He'd already improved drastically.
Yeah, he'd already improved.
One episode of Luke Cage he showed up in.
So I'm probably going to end up watching all this time.
Yeah. I'm actually kind of looking forward to it, but I'm cautiously looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm not like this isn't like hitting my hype meter or anything, so.
Yeah, it's kind of like one of those like, ooh, this could be good, this could hit the right spot, or this could be very bad.
Right, exactly.
So our next show up on September 12th is American Horror Story Apocalypse. This is the 8th season of American Horror Story. I don't know, did you watch any of American Horror Story, or?
I watched like the first and second seasons.
Okay.
That was it.
I fell off, I think, in the 4th season.
Okay.
Is when I started losing interest. So this series is following the best 2 seasons, which is the 1st and the 3rd.
I've heard like the plot because I watched the first season. I know like the first season they reference like the Antichrist or something. Mm-hmm. Like it's not a major plot point because it's not the focus of that season, but there's the Antichrist. He exists, right? So they just drop that in there somewhere around the end of like the first season.
Yeah, it's kind of like the creation of the Antichrist.
And then like I didn't see the 3rd season, but I know like it that was Coven. I know that was about witches or something. I don't know what happens in that.
I think you'd like the 3rd season because it's kind of like horror X-Men.
Really?
That's kind of what it feels like. It's like, a mansion in New Orleans with all of these witches gathering to learn how to be witches. And so they all have different, abilities that they're better at than others, and so it kind of has a little bit of that X-Men vibe to it because of that.
So apparently like this season is like it's taking that idea of the Antichrist from the first season and then mixing it with like the witches storyline from the 3rd season, if I'm understanding correctly, and that's what they're doing.
It's like a crossover with the two, and they have pretty much all of the cast from both series returning.
Oh, nice.
What's interesting there is that having watched the first 2 seasons, you know that they reuse the actors.
Yeah, they reuse the actors all the time.
So there's a lot of like double actors here. So actors that played one part in one show and a completely different part in season 3, and now like they're returning and playing both parts.
Okay, so like they're bringing back like the actual characters.
Yes.
So that's going to be weird.
Yeah, because they have like one actor playing 2 characters. Like one actor playing 2 characters, but all of their actors are playing multiple characters.
Wow, a lot of people in this universe are like identical twins of each other for some reason.
I wonder if they're going to like work that into the story somehow.
Yeah, really.
It's all like, oh, you found your doppelganger or something,
Yeah, you found your doppelganger. There's a lot of them.
As I said, I think I fell off in the 4th season. I believe that was Freak Show. That's when I really started losing interest. And it just got worse from there. Like, I tried to watch the Roanoke one, and that was just abysmally bad. Like, I just couldn't stomach it. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, that's what I've heard, because like reading opinions about like people really seem to hate the later seasons. So I'm like, okay, I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything, But like when I look back on what I did watch of the series, it was season 1 and season 3. Those are the ones I liked. Like, I didn't like season 2. I thought that was just too Yeah.
Just got too all over the place.
Season 2, I agree. I wasn't like as big on season 2 as I was season 1. Probably
Lost too much focus.
Probably why I didn't bother for season 3, to be honest, because I'm just like, hey, I don't know if I like the show that much. That season 2 was kind of weak.
Yeah. Season 3 was a big step up, though, I thought, and then it just fell off from there. So I'm interested in seeing if this season is going to be in the quality level of like season 1 and season 3, since it's using those 2 seasons, or if it's just like,
if it's going to be the quality of like
the
seasons,
the same shitty quality of the more recent seasons, just using characters from the better seasons.
We'll find out.
Yeah,
I suppose.
But I'm actually going to check this out. I'm going to at least watch the first episode and see what I think. But yeah, that's somewhat interesting. 2 days later, on September 14th, American Vandal comes to Netflix for its second season.
Okay, can I say, like, it was a good sign when the freaking trailer made me die. Like, I was dead at the trailer, so I was like, okay, yeah, this is gonna be amazing. Like, I didn't even know, like, how they were gonna, like, top, like, season 1, but this trailer is better than season 1. Like, already.
Season 1 blew me away because it just kept finding new ways to be funny,
right?
In its format, like as it was spoofing, all these kind of true crime shows. But then it ended in this way that was like really like poignant.
Yeah,
it really kind of brought things together. Like you actually kind of felt bad. Like it brought up kind of like the fact that everyone's laughing at like the suspected vandal about him being stupid and stuff, and like the people making the documentary are playing on that. The show's playing on that. Like you hear all the people being interviewed. That's all fictitious, of course. It's a mockumentary, but they're all playing on that, and then you're laughing at all of that. And then they bring that back at a certain point where you start to feel guilty about that. You start to feel like, man, this guy has really been screwed over, and like I really feel bad for him now.
Yeah, but then he does like something stupid, and you stop feeling bad for him again.
Yeah, even so though, he does something stupid with like this kind of dumb mentality that he thinks he's going to get away with it. Like
right.
And then like that kind of, when that turns on him, it's another sad moment. So it's like it's a show that went surprisingly deep for a parody.
Yeah, it did. It was surprisingly somber at the end. We don't get that in the trailer, but I
mean, that wasn't in the trailer for the first season either.
Jesus Christ, like this trailer, oh my God, like the setup and like everything, it's like, oh my God, I was just dying like the whole way through. It was like they show like the setup in the trailer, and then like they show more of it, and it just keeps like topping itself, and I'm just like,
it's going like super crass with the whole thing.
Yeah, but see, and this is what American Vandal does, because they did this in the first season too, in a lot of scenes. Like, they get like really super crass, but they know how to do it in the way that it's funny, and that it's not just toilet humor.
Yeah.
Like, first, it's the way they use it. Yeah. Right? Because to throw you completely off guard.
I think the whole Catholic school setting is like an interesting touch to kind of like offset the kind of crassness of the humor.
Right.
And it's going to be interesting to explore what that means. And, if it's anything like the first season, then there's going to be something deeper to it.
I want to say like, holy shit.
Yeah,
but that's too obvious. So
so I won't say what I just did. But it's American Vandal. If you are listening to this and you have not watched the first season of American Vandal, do. It is hilarious, and then it becomes meaningful by the end in a way that's completely unexpected.
Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if that's how they came up with the concept for season 2. Like, what the writers were just like brainstorming, and one of them just said, "Holy shit!" and somebody turned around and said, "That is it. We got our season."
So we got our next show on our list here is coming on September 21st, and that is Maniac, which is coming to Netflix.
Now this looks really interesting. I don't know if this is going to be good, but it looks.
I can sum it up with one word.
Yeah.
Legion.
It looks very Legion-esque, yes. it also like Legion, it also has to do, it deals primarily with the mind. It's Jonah Hill and it's
Emma Stone.
You know, they're reuniting from Superbad. And they're going through some sort of like mind, testing or something.
So what I looked it up, and basically the idea here is, well, first off, this is based off of a Norwegian series of the same name. Well, I say same name, but it's the translated version of that name. It's a dark comedy series, but dark comedy nowadays could mean like super dark drama. It's just weird.
Yeah, I mean, I get like there's some comedy. I could see like some of the comedy elements, but it looked like it leaned way more into drama than comedy.
More dark than comedy.
Yeah. And again, this was a guy who directed like True Detective and stuff. So this isn't like
I noticed in my show notes I actually wrote True Detective.
True. So this Cary Fukunaga, I think I butchered that, right?
No, that's it. Cary Fukunaga.
So he's not a comedy guy. So
I think it's going to be one of those cases where they say comedy, but it's more like not.
It's more not. This looks like a comedy drama thriller sort of deal. I don't know. It looks really unique. It's hard. You can't. It doesn't.
Looks like a mind trip.
Yeah, it looks like a mind. It doesn't look like you can box it into like a genre like that. It doesn't look like it wants to be boxed in. So basically, it looks like one of the big gimmicks is like they're going into different worlds in their minds, and they show like these different scenarios, and apparently what they were trying to do is they're trying to separate Emma Stone and Jonah Hill, but they keep finding their way to each other in all these different worlds that exist in their minds.
Kind of a connection or something.
Like they have some kind of a connection. To
sum up basically what's happening from what I read up on the series is it's basically there's 12 people and they're partaking in a 3-day pharmaceutical trial. This is a drug that's supposed to basically cure any mental issue, period.
Right.
Like if you're schizophrenic, if you're bipolar, if you have ADD, it doesn't matter. Like you're fixed with this pill. And this is like a late stage trial that they're doing, for this pill. And they have all sorts of stuff going on where they're using some kind of like, looks almost like some kind of a VR, like full dive VR like thing where they all go in together, and I don't know. But basically there's 12 people partaking in this trial. Emma Stone and Jonah Hill are just 2 of those people, but somehow keep finding each other and connecting throughout the trial in a way that they're not supposed to.
Yeah, in a way that they're not supposed to.
So it kind of, like, it really has a major, like if you took Legion season 1 and then took out the supernatural and like all the X-Men type stuff, that's kind of what this looks like in many ways. Like,
this looks like, in a lot of ways, that's what this looks like.
But yeah, I mean, it looks good. I think, Cary Fukunaga is that's the name that's really drawing me in. True Detective season 1 was very good. True Detective season 2, not so much. But yeah, they got good people attached. It's based on existing property that was popular.
Yep.
There's a lot going for it that can make this good.
There's a lot of potential here.
Yeah. And hey, we liked Legion, and so seeing something that looks so similar to Legion isn't necessarily a bad thing, especially when you have good names attached to it.
No, it's not a bad thing at all. This looks good. I'm definitely giving this a shot.
Yeah. So next up on our list, September 27th, The Good Place comes back to NBC for its 3rd season. So right off the bat, I'm going to say that we're going to be talking about this on our podcast, like episode to episode. Just so everybody knows. Will and I kind of decided there is enough in The Good Place to dissect, in a meaningful way, and in a way that you normally wouldn't have in a comedy, just because it's playing on that whole idea of ethics and what's going on. There's material to dissect and talk about in The Good Place. And so we're going to be talking about that week to week as it comes out. So we're right off the bat, we're telling you we're watching it without even going into anything else. We were fans of the first 2 seasons, both of us. We've talked about it before. But yeah, season 3, we still don't have like a trailer or anything to kind of represent it, and it's less than a month away. But it's still, I'm excited for it. If it goes from where it left off, basically to remind everybody where The Good Place left off last season, is that everybody was left in kind of like they're kind of like
left
reliving their lives. lives.
Yeah, they're reliving their lives. They're kind of left in limbo because they're trying to get into heaven, and so they came up with the scheme that they're reliving their lives in order to prove
with a push.
Yeah, with a push to prove that they can be good enough to get into heaven.
Yeah, the idea is that if they're given the proper push towards good, one proper push, and basically, so they're in they're simulating going through their lives again, but having been saved from the accident that was going to kill them, and then being given like one strong push by Michael in each of their realities without them knowing who he is or anything towards being good people. And what that means, and then how that will affect their lives, and they're playing out. So at least at the beginning of this season is going to be about them living out reliving their lives in a way in which they're trying to be better people.
Right. And I can say that when it returns, like, they won't know who each other is. They won't recognize each other. Not even in I got a funny feeling like I knew you from somewhere away. Mm-hmm. Like, they're going to be complete strangers. And the show is going to deal with that too when it comes back. But it's how they deal with that is going to be interesting.
What's really interesting here is that they destroyed the good place.
Yeah, they destroyed the good place.
Well, and then we got a brief glimpse of the bad place, and now they're like back in like some variation of reality. So it's kind of like we've kind of moved completely away from the setting of the series. I don't know if they're going to end up returning to some semblance of the good place or some semblance of the bad place, but right now it's just kind of like an interesting setup where it's going. And this whole series, and like I listened to like a podcast where they were talking to like Mike Schur, the showrunner of this series, and he was talking about how when he was making the series, he was like talking to like Damon Lindelof of Lost, because he was like a big fan of Lost, and because he wanted to make The Good Place into something that's more serialized. And so he was talking to Damon Lindelof about like where he might be able to avoid mistakes and stuff like that in doing it. And it's just a really interesting way for a comedy to proceed and to go hunker down really deep into the idea of like ethics. Right. And what they mean.
And what they mean. Exactly. That's what makes A Good Place interesting. And more than just like your typical sitcom.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's not just like, oh, they're kind of in this weird setting and oh, there's weird stuff happening. No, it's like everything kind of has like a meaning to it. And getting to explore that and kind of like look at it from that perspective with like a cast of great characters is what the series is all about. So yeah, I think we're both looking forward to A Good Place when it returns.
For sure.
Next up on our list, another one that we're both excited for. Hot off the heels of Castlevania being added to Smash Brothers too. The one Belmont not added to Smash Brothers. How's his show on Netflix returning? Poor Trevor. No Smash, but he's got Netflix.
No Smash. Well, he's like the unsung hero because apparently, because like everybody's like, okay, Simon was the original, like not chronologically, but like as far as like the video games go, like Simon was the original, and then like Trevor got his game, and then Richter got his game, and apparently like everybody just loves Richter, so like nobody gives a shit about Trevor. It's sad because like Trevor has like the best game. Like, okay, well maybe Richter has the best game of the Belmonts, but like Trevor has like second best game. Like
I was gonna say Alucard has the best game.
I'm talking about Belmonts.
Yeah. Is it Trevor or Richter who's in Symphony of the Night when you can do like a playthrough?
Oh, it's Richter in Symphony.
Okay.
Because Symphony of the Night is the direct sequel to Rondo of Blood, which was the game Richter starred in. So, and Rondo of Blood is like one of the most acclaimed like games in the Castlevania series, even though it never came to US originally. It only came to US like as part of like the Castlevania Dracula X collection on the PSP, or like the Wii U or the Wii Virtual Console. So, like, for a long time, like, people in America can't actually play that game, but it was, like, a lot of people consider that the best Castlevania game of the 16-bit era. and then Symphony of the Night is the direct sequel to that game.
And the best game in the series.
Because it literally takes place right after, because, like, the very first part of Castlevania Symphony of the Night is, like, the final boss battle in Rondo of Blood. You replay that at the beginning of the game, so, yeah.
So we should know to get back onto the actual show that the first season, it was 3 or 4 episodes long. It was pretty short.
Yeah, it was pretty short. It wasn't that long.
This one's getting like a somewhat more full season and 8 episodes.
Oh yeah, remember, like, this was originally written and designed to be like a 2-hour
movie,
a 2-hour movie. And this Castlevania had been in development for a long time, like years, because I remember Warren Ellis talking about this like years back. And
Warren Ellis is a comic book writer who wrote this series.
Yep, he wrote the series. Its original stay as a movie. Yeah, he wrote this. He actually wrote this like years back. And they were talking about like they were doing a movie, and like nothing came of it until Netflix apparently picked up the script and started investing in it.
Yeah, it got picked up, I think, by Adi Shankar, who's he's a producer. He's probably best known for he did Dredd, the one Judge Dredd movie, not the one Sylvester Stallone, but the one people actually like.
Yeah.
But he also had a series of shorts he made that he calls the Bootleg Universe. That includes like a dark version of like Power Rangers and like.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's kind of what he's like known for. Really, is that Bootleg Universe? These like YouTube short films he's done that are kind of based on existing properties. And so he's kind of produces a lot of like this kind of content, like content that kind of plays into like genres and nostalgia and things that he likes. And I think he's the one that ended up finding Warren Ellis' script and ended up figuring out how to put it together and do it as a series and making the deal with Netflix.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Yeah. He's the one that figured it out, like solved the puzzle, you know?
Yeah. Great cast on Castlevania as always. Richard Armitage, who was the Red Dragon and Hannibal, is playing Trevor.
Yes.
James Callis, who was I can't think of the character's name, in Battlestar Galactica, plays Alucard. And Graham McTavish, who is right now like at the top of his career as the Saint of Killers and Preacher, plays Dracula.
Yeah.
With the girl who plays Sypha is basically from like Winx Club. That's like
from Winx Club. It's like all these renowned actors and then
Winx Club
chicks from Winx Club.
So it's got a great voice cast, and we're getting a full actual season this time.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. It looks like it's got a character from Curse of Darkness, which is actually a direct sequel to Castlevania 3.
Which is, I don't think we mentioned yet, Castlevania 3 is what this is based on.
Yeah, this is based off of Castlevania 3. It's the story of Castlevania 3. There's a character named Hector, and he's a devil forge master who works for Dracula. And then shortly after the events of Castlevania 3, Dracula betrays him, and then he seeks revenge against Dracula. And so Hector appears in like a few screenshots people have seen in the second season of the show, so that's really cool.
Yeah. This is pretty much supposed to finish off the Castlevania 3 story, isn't it, this season?
Yeah, it's supposed to finish off the Castlevania 3 story. So people seeing Hector and the fact that Curse of Darkness takes place directly after Castlevania 3 is leading people to think that season 3 will probably be Curse of Darkness.
That'll be interesting. We'll see how all that plays out. It'll be interesting to see how long the show goes on and how many games they go into material-wise.
Yes.
I mean, are we going to be on, like, Aria of Blood or something at some point?
You know what would be really, really awesome? If we got to see the Battle of 1999. That is only mentioned in the games. It's never shown, and this is the battle where, like, the modern-day Belmont, he seals Dracula away for good, to the point where Dracula cannot come back. And that's, like, the climatic battle. And so if you play, like, Aria of Sorrow or something, you know, the Soma games, then they mention that battle a lot, but you never actually get to see it.
That'll be interesting to see how this series progresses, season to season, and what games it draws on.
Yeah, definitely.
So on the same day, October 26th, our next one on our list is also coming out, which is the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, which is a quasi spin-off of Riverdale, which is itself an adaptation of Archie, but like a darker version. And
Yes.
Chilling Adventures of Sabrina was also had its own comic run as like a darker version of Sabrina. And the showrunner for this series is the writer of that version of the comic book.
Yes. So this is going to be really cool. This is, if people don't know, the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina isn't the Sabrina the Teenage Witch that everybody knows.
Yeah, this is the Melissa Joan Hart version.
Yeah, this isn't. No, this is like full on like horror. We're talking like demons. We're talking like fucking Cthulhu, like just straight H.P. Lovecraft shit. It gets pretty like I've seen some stuff from the comics, and it gets pretty gruesome and pretty dark. It goes dark places. So people expecting like some cutesy like Melissa Joan Hart like romp with this, they're gonna be like in for a rude awakening if the show delivers what it's promising, because this is horror.
The question is how hard R is this horror going to be compared to like Riverdale, which this is like a quasi spin-off of, and Riverdale's on CW. It's a little bit more limited in what they can do than what Netflix can do. So it's going to be interesting to see how far Netflix takes it, or if how much they're going to sanitize it, or how little they're going to sanitize it.
Right.
And considering that the showrunner of the series is the writer of the original comic, that's a good sign.
That's a good sign. Yeah.
There's also got a pretty interesting cast. Kiernan Shipka, who was in Mad Men. She was the daughter of the main character, Don Draper in Mad Men. She's playing Sabrina. The three other notable ones is Michelle Gomez, who most people would know her from Doctor Who. I really loved her in a show called Green Wing. She's a great Scottish actress. I actually met her at that Comic-Con when I went there that one time. Nice. She's playing a character in this as well. She's playing a woman, Sabrina's favorite teacher, who it says she becomes possessed by Madam Satan.
Yeah.
And then the two aunts, who are, important in Sabrina, as her two aunts. One is being played by Lucy Davis, who was in Shaun of the Dead. That was you remember the part in Shaun of the Dead where they ran into like the almost like mirror versions of themselves?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it's the woman that was like the mirror version of Shaun, that was like, but like was a woman.
She was also like Simon Pegg's co-star in Space.
Space, yes.
Yes.
She's playing one of the aunts, and the other aunt is being played by Miranda Otto from Lord of the Rings. She was the female knight, the one that was like she was like, I think like a daughter of the guy from not Helm's Deep, but the one who ended up killing the like Witch King at the end of
I mean, we get it.
where he says no man can kill me, and she says, I am no man.
Right. Yeah, that was a good scene.
So that's another one of his aunts. So it's good cast. It's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out. But I mean, like it's good basis to go by.
Yeah, it is.
So our next one up on our list here is November 2nd. Homecoming comes to Amazon. This is based on a podcast. It's like a narrative podcast. It's not like it's fiction. It's not like a true crime thing or.
Oh, it's not based on our podcast?
That's not based on our podcast. Damn. We're hoping on those royalties,
What does this say? This is the Sam S. Yeah, this was like super boring. Like that wins the award for like most boring trailer for a show ever. Like,
what you have to pay attention to are the names in this.
It's Julia Roberts. Yeah, I know. There's like some big names here. There's Sam Esmail. There's Julia Roberts.
Sam Esmail, creator of Mr. Robot.
Right.
He's directing every episode in this. He's
gotta give you
the adaptation.
They gotta give you something. They can't just like say.
I think that trailer was meant for people who've listened to the podcast.
Yeah, probably.
Because there's like little bits of symbolism and stuff in it that I think if you listen to the podcast that you'd pick up on and go like, oh, they're doing, oh, there's that, and oh, But like if you haven't listened to the podcast,
which I haven't,
then it's like
okay. Yeah, I got nothing from that. So
yeah, so I mean,
like hard pass.
the notable names in this, as you mentioned, Julia Roberts plays the caseworker in this. Barbie Cannavale from Boardwalk Empire is in it.
He was also in season 3 of Mr. Robot.
Yes, and Shea Wiggum from also from Boardwalk Empire, and also from Agent Carter.
Oh, yep, I remember.
Is in this as well. So yeah, it's kind of the idea of this basically is it's a soldier. He is going to be going back into civilian life, but he's assigned to a caseworker, and that's Julia Roberts' character. And it's for some kind of a mysterious secret government facility. And so the idea is that there's something else going on here. That he's just talking to this therapist, thinking he's going to be going back into his life, but there's something else going on.
And given that, like, this is Sam Esmail, like, I expect, like, all kinds of mind fucks.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what makes me interested in this. You watch the trailer and it's kind of like, it's boring, there's not much going on and stuff. It's like you're not really seeing things, but there are little things. Like, you see the fish slowly turning upside down and floating dead and stuff like that. It's like, those are kind of like cryptic hints towards something darker. You know what I mean?
Right. And I get why the trailer probably is like it is, because if they showed you like stuff, it's probably going to ruin whatever. They might spoil things.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be a fairly slow burn series that you're really supposed to kind of be invested in and then rewarded for. And so I can imagine a lot of people are probably going to be like, what's this shit? You know, and not necessarily give it a chance or something, but I think it's interesting because of who's involved.
Right.
And that's what's really selling me on this. Sam Esmail, I mean, I'm going to be paying attention to his name whenever I see it after Mr. Robot, you know? And last on our list is a new series coming to Showtime called Escape at Dannemora, which is based on a real event that happened in 2015 at the Clinton Correctional Facility in New York. And it was a prison escape in which the two prisoners escaped were both murderers, and they had a relationship with a prison worker, an employee at the prison.
Oh, I remember hearing about this on the news. Yeah, okay.
This is a big thing when it happened because it was just weird.
I remember, like, they got out and there was like a big manhunt for these guys, and then I think what happened in the end, like, one of them ended up getting killed.
Spoilers.
Yes, spoilers. Spoilers. I'm sorry, I watched the news, so I know the story. Yeah, spoilers. One of them ends up getting killed, and the other ends up getting arrested again, if I'm remembering correctly. But yeah, there was a relationship with one of the guards, and that's how they managed to escape in the first place. I remember this story. Okay.
Yeah, both of these convicts had separate sexual relationships with the same married female prison employee.
Right.
And that's kind of what relayed into it. So it's kind of like about that. It's about the escape. It's about the relationship. It's about the aftermath of everything after it happened, after the manhunt and stuff. So it's about just that whole thing. So it's a mini series kind of just about that. It's not going to have a second season. It's just like a one-off thing.
Well, no, it's not going to have a second season because nothing happened after, like...
The aliens come down in the second season and just stuff really changes up.
Yeah.
This is another project with great names attached. So this is one way to get like really A-list talent involved in a show like this, is to do it like a mini series. Something that's not too much of a commitment, where they can just come in and do one season. And because of that, they have Benicio del Toro.
Well, that's what True Detective did. That's how they got Matthew McConaughey, because they said, okay, we're doing this story, but it's only one season. You're not going to be asked to come back for season 2. And so they're more willing to sign on. Yeah.
So this one's got Benicio del Toro from Sicario and from a ton of other stuff. Most recently from the second Sicario movie, but also from, Avengers Infinity War he was in as well, where he plays the Collector. Paul Dano is also in this movie. He's a big favorite of mine. He's kind of mostly in indie films, but he was the son in There Will Be Blood. He was also in a movie called L.I.E., which I really adore. And he was in the what's that movie called? The Girl Next Door, the one about the porn star that moved.
Oh yeah. Like that movie that I totally didn't watch 100 times when I came out.
So Paul Dano, I dig that actor. He's in it as well. Those are the two convicted murderers. the employee, the prison employee that ends up sleeping with him is played by Patricia Arquette.
Yep.
It's been just a myriad of stuff.
I can recognize her even under like all that makeup that they have her in. Yeah.
She's also been in Boardwalk Empire, but you could just have a laundry list of stuff she's been in.
Right. Oh yeah, she's been in tons of stuff. So
yeah, she's pretty big time. And then every episode, all 8 episodes of the series were directed by Ben Stiller.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah, who's I guess taking a slightly more serious turn. I mean, I say slightly more serious, but you can even see that there's little winks of comedy in the trailer. You can see there's a little bit. But yeah, I mean, Ben Stiller, he's not new to directing. He's actually been directing for about as long as he's been acting, but he hasn't really done something on the more serious side like this. So it'll be interesting to see how he performs in that aspect. So that looks good to me. That's the last movie on our fall preview. If you want to see more, check out some more trailers for other movies and stuff that are coming out this fall. Check out our site, thetotalscreen.com, and you can see the American Fall TV Preview 2018. Click on that and you have plenty of stuff to read through and plenty of trailers to watch.
Absolutely.
Next week, we're going to be talking about Castle Rock again. Since we missed an episode this week to talk about this fall preview, we're going to be doing 2 episodes of Castle Rock next week, which is, I believe, was it episodes 8 and 9, I think?
Yeah.
So it's almost the end, basically.
Almost the end. The end, my friend. The end.
My only friend, the end. But that's what we're going to be talking about next week. And until then, here's what's coming up in the week ahead. So today, Friday, August 31st, Jack Ryan came out on Amazon, or as the great, was it Funny or Die clip just came out, Jim Ryan.
Yeah, I saw the apparently it's IGN likes it. Headline says Amazon has a winner in Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan.
Yeah, I agree with IGN sometimes.
Yeah.
I'll have to see if that's one of these times. But I know it looks good. I like the actor. So
yeah, I like the actor. Yeah, definitely.
Also today, three more shows on Netflix. As always, tons of shows on Netflix. Ozark is back for its 2nd season. Did you ever watch Ozark on Netflix?
No.
It's kind of like Breaking Bad. It's like the closest show to Breaking Bad that I can think of outside of Better Call Saul.
Right.
But it's the same kind of concept. The idea of like somebody who's not overtly a criminal, but ends up tied up with criminals, and it ends up changing him, and he ends up doing darker and darker things.
Yeah, that's probably why I didn't bother to watch it. I was like, wow, that sounds exactly like Breaking Bad. Skip.
If you haven't seen Breaking Bad or Ozark, watch Breaking Bad. But if you have watched Breaking Bad and you want another Breaking Bad-like experience, and you're already caught up on Better Call Saul, check out Ozark. That's kind of like the best I can say to it. It's a decent show. It's got a kind of a cool setting too in the Ozarks. It's kind of something you don't see that often. Though oddly enough, True Detective Season 3 has now been confirmed to take place in the Ozarks as well. So, so maybe we'll be seeing this location a lot now. Also coming to Netflix today, Paradise PD and Undercover Law. Paradise PD is like an animated one. I'm not sure what Undercover Law is. I'm guessing it has to do with law that's undercover.
Sounds stupid.
So tomorrow, September 1st, 2018, 3 more series from Netflix. Cathedral of the Sea, Monkey Twins, which is kind of like it's like a martial arts cop show.
Sure.
It's foreign. You know, whenever something comes to Netflix and it's not on a Friday, it's almost always a foreign show. And then Sisters, also coming to Netflix. Then on Monday, September 3rd, 2018, another Netflix show, A Taiwanese Tale of Two Cities.
Yes.
Then Tuesday, September 4th, 2018, Mayans MC. We talked about it today on the podcast. Comes to FX. The same day, The Purge, the TV show version of The Purge, comes to USA. I didn't watch those movies. Did you ever watch any of the Purge movies?
Nope.
I know the concept. I think everybody knows the concept.
I think everybody knows the concept. I think the concept's basic. Like, there's like a holiday where people just there's no laws, so people can do whatever they want for like that one day.
Yeah. With the idea being that, you know, it gets all of your violence out or something.
Right. I think I was watching...
It's kind of a stupid concept.
Kind of a stupid concept. Like, I was watching, I think it was like the Nostalgia Critic talking about these movies. And they actually do something interesting with it, like in the 3rd movie where it's revealed that it's actually like a plot by the government to like get rid of like poor people and undesirables by just letting people kill them.
That's the only thing that would make sense.
Yeah, yeah.
When people say like, "Oh, it'll be good for society to purge all those evils," it's like, no, there's no way that makes sense, because just the cleanup of that one day alone would be monstrous.
Right,
and,
exactly.
And the fact that people would push themselves into these horrific situations, would spell disaster. And it's not like people would just wait for the next day, that next year. It's more likely to create more crime. But if you were using it to like wipe out the poor, then yeah, that would kind of make sense.
Yeah, that would kind of make more sense.
So what I'm saying is the Purge is coming to USA on Tuesday, September 4th, and coming to the USA whenever Donald Trump feels like initiating it.
Yeah, exactly.
On that same day as well, there's BET has a mini-series about Bobby Brown called The Bobby Brown Story. Wednesday, September 5th, 2018, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia comes back to FX. This is like, what, it's like 13th season or 13th even more?
Season. Yeah, no, it's season 13. That's what it is. And I'm currently personally doing like a series run, so like I'm in the middle of season 3 right now, so I'll catch up sometime in next year's. But
yeah, I mean, that show's never had a drop off of its fan support, man. People love that show.
No, people love it. It's been consistent. It's one of the most consistent shows on TV. You think like 13 seasons, like it would have gotten stale a long time ago. But like from what I've seen and to hear people talk about it, there hasn't been like a sharp drop off in quality at all. It's been pretty consistent.
Yeah, and I even know that the showrunners of Game of Thrones did an episode.
Yep, they did. I watched that. It was season 12. That's one where they go to the amusement park, to the water park. That was that's the episode they directed, and they're actually in the episode too as employees of the park. It's really funny. If you haven't seen it, just like watch that. It's fucking hilarious. Like, oh
yeah,
my god.
That just shows, Game of Thrones showing some love for It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which is going on strong, still putting out episodes. So that's back on September 5th. And then lastly, next Friday, September 7th, 2018, 3 more for Netflix. Cable Girls returns for Netflix for what I believe is its final season. Atypical is back on Netflix. That's about a family where one of the sons in the family has autism, and it's about kind of their life. And then of note for us, and we mentioned it in this podcast as well, Marvel's Iron Fist.
Iron Fist, yep.
Is back on Netflix, and we are probably going to end up doing a podcast about that.
You know what?
In the near future.
I will say we'll do a podcast about that if I watch the first episode and I don't entirely hate it. Like,
yeah. If we both make it through the series, we'll talk about it.
Yes, it's contingent on that. If it's like season 1 again, I don't want to go through the effort. I'm sorry.
You don't want to go through that trauma again.
Yeah, no. That's horrible. I think that was like the one thing, like we were going to do it on the podcast, and we had like 3 of us. It was me, you, and Ed, and I think it was the one thing we all agreed that this sucks. That I think you were the only one who watched the whole season, did you?
Yeah, I watched the whole thing. And,
yeah, me and Ed just quit like a couple episodes in. We couldn't do it.
Yeah, so you guys were like, God, it sucks. There's no redeemable qualities. And I'm like, well, there's one part that's almost redeemable. But you have to make it through to the very last episode. Oh, one thing I forgot to bring up about Iron Fist.
What?
10 episodes.
Oh, nice, good. Well, they're finally learning, because all these shows are usually 13 episodes, so hopefully cutting 3 hours off of it means that they got a tighter, more focused story.
Yeah, and if it works out for this, hopefully they'll keep doing it for the other ones too, because none of those shows need 13 episodes. There's not a single one of those Marvel Netflix shows that needs all 13 episodes. In fact, every single one of them is hindered by the fact that they have to have 13 episodes.
Right, exactly.
So it'll be nice to see them be able to make a show that runs the length that the show needs to run, rather than just running 13
people
episodes.
think, and people are blaming Netflix. It's like, Netflix doesn't dictate, like, episode length. Like,
this is like a deal with Marvel, yeah.
Yeah, that's up to Marvel. Like, Marvel's the one who keeps making 13 episodes.
Yeah, that was like the contract they initially signed, and I guess they got some more wiggle room when they
Yeah.
re-signed. Because the original contract just covered like the first series for each one and like Defenders, I think.
Yeah.
And then everything after that is a renegotiated contract, and they've kind of been able to get a little bit more leeway and to have less episodes. So hopefully that's going to be an improvement that we see, because 13 episodes is just not working for their shows. 10 might be good for some of them. Some of them could even go down to like 8 and be better, but 13 is definitely, there's a lot of repetition, a lot of like unnecessary filler that hopefully this purges.
Yes, purges.
Once a year they can purge it by getting rid of these
They
episodes.
can purge once a year. Netflix will purge.
They're going to be the ones wearing the white mask that says God.
Yes.
So you can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Tyson Gifford. You can follow Will. He is at Voxel Hero. You can check out our Facebook page and our YouTube channel, as well as our site, thetotalscreen.com. You can subscribe to this podcast through any major podcast client like iTunes or Pocket Cast. And the entire backlog of our podcast is available on our YouTube channel, along with other YouTube content we put up through the ages. So thank you everybody for listening. Good night.
Good night.
If you would like to reach out to us and make a comment, send an email to contact@thetotalscreen.com. Stay tuned to The Total Screen for the very best